know that your therapist probably never told you. Researched by experts, real-life experiences. This is Reset.
Well, we are a month into school.
For most people.
And it's official. We have a school avoidant kid.
Anybody else relate?
I remember when they're trying to vote in a DSM diagnosis called school avoidant disorder. Because there were so many kids that would not attend school. And they would just pretend to have anxiety, pretend to have like stomach aches or migraines, and they just wouldn't go to school. They wouldn't wake up for it, anything like that. And I remember my practice thinking about these parents in my mind personally, thinking, just get them up. You're the parent. Figure it out. Obviously, I was nurturing, loving, and caring in so many ways. And then God blessed us with a child who says, I'm not going to school today. Every day, there's school. And then when Sunday comes, you and I are basically having anxiety attacks, doing everything we can to make this kid feel good, giving him the night before back massage, making sure his back's all right, like doing all the textbook stuff. Everything's done the night before, giving his favorite little meal for the next day, making sure he feels nice and comfortable in bed, looking forward to a great breakfast tomorrow. And then all that goes well until the morning comes and he just refuses to get up. Which is, I know it's like wild in our heads. Like, when this ever started? Like, our parents would never allow us to get away with that. And I think also we were just scared.
Oh my God.
afraid to ever let mom and dad down. But we officially have.
I thought you said meant we were scared as his parents.
No, we're not scared as his parents. We were scared of our parents.
Yeah.
But we officially have one now. And it has been a pain. The sad part was, we had company over, you have family come in from out of town, and they have to witness it go down. And it's not pretty.
And it's also beginning of the year. So having so much time off in the summer is really hard for these kids who dread school. That's why sometimes even spring breaks and winter breaks and all those things are hard because they get out of rhythm. And we do a 2-day-a-week homeschool hybrid thing. So it's almost even more so hard to get back in, right, to that rhythm and routine. And sometimes we are great. We're on this rhythm and routine. And then, you miss a week because you're sick or you have a break, and going back in is so difficult. And so we've been trying to figure out how to navigate this well, how to respect him and tell him that we believe how he feels, but then also be able to push him and encourage him to go, because there's a lot of things in life we have to do that we don't necessarily want to do.
Well, and that's like the hard line for us, which is trying to figure out, how do we create grit in him? And this is an opportunity for him to like face his own adversity when it comes to his anxieties or worries about school. And also, at what point are we not meeting our kid where he's at? I know something that we really talked about is we're not going to lose the relationship or our influence of this relationship with our child by making this very much a tough love approach towards getting him to school. Which tough love for a lot of kids who have school avoidant, let's say, issues, really doesn't really work. If anything, they get worse. Like, they don't really want to go to school. And I've seen that in my own practice, like the whole aspect of tough love. Now, putting the child in a situation where they mentally have to choose to go to school, that's the key right there. Is how do we put him in a situation where he emotionally and mentally says yes to school versus him just forcing attending school? Because every time that happens, then the next time we have to go through that same style of approach and dynamic for him to go again. And we prefer dynamic of, we want you to go to school. You have to go to school. It's by law. You need to go to school. We love you. We hear you. We empathize with you. We understand you. And at the same time, sometimes you have to do things anxiously. Sometimes you have to do things that are difficult. And you're not alone. And we are there with you, doing it with you.
And that reminds me of something that I've been learning the last month about empathizing with our kids. When one of them said mid-cry, You don't believe me. Why don't you believe me? And it hit me how I was responding in that moment. Whatever I was saying and doing was conveying to my child that I didn't believe whatever they were saying. And I've now gone into moments like this, especially when it comes to this school avoidance or any kind of avoidance, social situations. If you have a kid like that, the first thing I say is, I believe you. That sounds so tough for you. I believe everything you're saying. However, we have to go. So what can we do to support you and get you there? And that's just something I've really had to learn was making sure our kids know we believe them. I think a lot of times we just write off their feelings, or you're not really that hurt. Get up, you're fine. Which again, tough love is, there are places for it, but at least just acknowledge what your kid's telling you. They're crying or they're upset or they're actually saying the why. Oh yeah, you did just fall off your bike. That hurt. You got this, get back up. I think it starts there where your child then begins to trust that you believe them, because our kids deserve that respect. Our kids deserve that level of empathy before we obviously redirect, direct, discipline. We're not saying to not discipline or have your kids do something. It's just the approach behind it.
Well, and I think here's what doesn't work, we found out. And I know this from my own practice too. Critiquing doesn't work. Belittling either the child or the student or school itself. Like, it's no big deal. It's just 4 hours of school. You have a half day today. No big deal. Like, belittling the situation doesn't in any way affirm them emotionally and mentally. If anything, then they feel like then they have to respond even greater so you actually get the weight of what they're feeling and thinking. What does work, not every time as we found out, because it's like a cocktail, how you figure out it's the right formula here, is the night before does matter. Getting himself ready the night before. Leaving as little as possible for the morning of. Whether that's taking a shower the night before, getting the backpack ready, meals ready, but also talking about tomorrow. A lot of parents don't want to talk about it. I don't want to trigger them the night before. It's okay to do that. It's okay to say, hey, let's win tomorrow morning. What would it be good for you to look forward to when we wake up? Is it French toast? Is it the aspect you can watch maybe 20-minute episode of a cartoon? Like, what would get you going where the morning time would be nice and pleasant, would get you straight to school?
I think that just makes me realize that's essentially setting them up for success with coping skills.
100%.
So that, anxiety is a real thing. And if we don't teach our kids how to deal with it now, if they're already an anxious person, then they're going to go to work feeling like this. So hopefully what we teach them right now is, okay, I have work the next day. What's something I can do the night before to make myself feel prepared? And then what do I want to look forward to in the morning? This is the time where we're conditioning our children in how to live life when they're older.
Well, it's also teaching their brain to not focus on something they worry, but maybe something they look forward to or they like within the process of it. So one of the things we have is like a drive to school playlist, which is fun. They all get it. They know it. And they look forward to it. So the moment we could get that kid in the car and that playlist is going, his brain is like trained like Pavlov's dog. Like, this is good. This is fun. This is going to be a good day. But also just the opportunity for us to teach our kid that we are a team still. You're not alone on this. And sometimes that looking like a team means that we have to lead them. And sometimes leading them looks like it sounds odd, but track me here, like we leave them, meaning that we've learned in these school avoidance situations, there's a certain component in which, yes, we're present with you. At some point, we're going to stop. We're going to walk away. We're no longer going to give you this audience for this production that you're giving, which at times could be a tantrum. And we're going to go and help the other child, and we're going to go to school, and we keep telling them, we're going to school, we're going in the car 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3, and we will get in the car. We will start backing up the car. We're not going to leave our kid alone. He's too young for that anyways. And the moment backing up, he comes out running, of course, saying, I need help. I'm ready. And then guess what? He ends up getting in the car. And so sometimes you have to learn, okay, when do I stop him the audience? When do I start leaving as an aspect of leading him? And when do I recognize that if I just start acting the part in the morning time, let him pin that situation mentally where do I really want to stay in my room and not go to school and possibly disappoint mom and dad or not fill in the blank? or should I go and attend and put him in that emotional dichotomy, really, or
Where he is choosing.
yeah, where he's choosing. That's when we've been the most successful. Is it absolute 100%? Oh, not at all. And we've had days where we told him, if you choose not to go to school, then you're going to choose this consequence for today. And majority of the time, he goes to school. But there's times where he doesn't, and we hold him accountable for it, and that's okay.
This is the part of our show where we talk about our opinions on the things that we observe.
Observe and then respond, don't worry, you cannot be wrong. It's all about the way that your mind works. Observation feedback.
I am and I want to verb this correctly, I'm a premature decorator
Yes.
for the holidays.
Yep.
And everyone in the neighborhood lets me know, your stuff's up already? Answer is yes. And people who know us have now submitted to the fact that I am about a month early on every holiday, including I just ordered my Christmas lights to be put up the last weekend of October. Is that bad?
The last weekend of October.
Not last weekend, last week of October.
Yeah, that's bad.
Because the light switches on November 1st.
I thought that November 1st, the first week of November last year was a little early, but you know what I do love about you is that you do just love to decorate, period, which is so fun because I love to decorate. I grew up with, decorations every holiday, so fun. And I do feel like there are some people who truly get offended and even actually mad
Appalled.
when decorations go up on the outside or inside of a home.
We've had family members who have told me just very rude comments. The fact that I would even send them a picture of my home decorated for Halloween already.
Yep.
One of my favorite Instagram follows is the countdown to Halloween, which I think starts every year around 100 days and counts down, and every day is a new picture, which totally inspires me every year what to do in the front yard. And that once that 100 mark occurs, it's go time for me. You are the witness to know that I set the precedent to the neighborhood where the moment my stuff comes up, that next weekend, people are completely in competition with me with their decorations.
I can agree with that, and I am a witness to that. However, I would like to point out one person was ahead of you this year.
Your mom.
Yes, your next door neighbor.
That is true. She was. But that's because we had company come over and it delayed when I want to do it. Mm-hmm. But the hardest part about it is then you come next level is when your neighbor is an architect.
Oh, God.
And she just destroys it. And every year she ups the game.
She's amazing.
And we want to, this is a question. Are you allowed to copy a neighbor's decorations of their house for your house? Is that considered to be not allowed? I don't know.
I mean, who decides that, though? The decoration committee? Like, who are these people? You would be on it if there was one.
But here's the real truth of why we do this. And we did before we had kids. I think this is one of our love languages where I think it was our first or second date. I asked you, are you colored or white lights for the house and the tree? And I feel like if you can't figure that out, you probably shouldn't get married.
The funny thing is we were both colored light people, and now, we have one of each tree, but then our main tree is white lights now, which is funny to me.
And now the outdoors is white lights as well.
Yeah.
We went from completely saying we were colored lights all the time.
Yep.
To now white lights. And now our kids want to be colored lights.
But want to know why? I think it's because the old school colored lights, in my opinion, are so much more beautiful. They're not the LED. So I actually like the way they glow. The outdoor ones, those big bulbs, like they glow really nicely. They have this softness to them. And now, like Christmas trees, when they have purple in them, or it's a specific purple or blue, it just really throws me off with the LED thing.
My friends and I, we used to, during Christmas time, we used to go at nighttime and we used to screw one of those bulbs out.
Oh my God.
And throw it in the middle of the street and get a big pop. But if you remember back in the old days, you undo one of them and whatever, the whole strand's out. It's off.
So were these strangers' homes or your own
Just
homes?
neighbors. And I used to think in my head, man, if someone did that to me, I'd be so mad.
Well, now the funny thing is you are so serious about your yard and decorations. Like, knowing you did that as a child is kind of funny, but also if anything were to happen to our yard decorations, I kind of feel like, you reap
I
what
get
you
angry.
reap what you sow. Then
100%. Here's the thing. Our kids now are 100% involved with this. They know first weekend of September, it is a go time for all things fall and Halloween. And they're so excited about it. They're at the age now where they partake in it. They
It's
look
really
forward
cute.
to it. They love the villages. There has to be some village people out there. I have my own village. I'm a Halloween village, but we also have the Christmas village. And I'll quote my son to his friend. He brought his friend over, and she said, "Oh, that's cool." And he goes, "No, you should wait till my dad brings out his Christmas village." And that's when I knew our children are highly involved. And then when we were driving the other day, it was just us three, just me and the kiddos. And they said, "Dad," it's a true story. They go, "Dad, why doesn't some people not decorate early?" And I said, "This is the key." I go, "Look, lesson to be learned here, kiddos. Marry someone who loves decorating and loves and enjoy doing it early, or it's going to be a real struggle in your marriage." That is a true lesson they probably have learned this year for their future.
I do think there is this peacemaker side of me where when we decorate early, I get a little insecure. I'm like, oh, it's Joe's idea, which it kind of is.
You do blame me all the time.
It is you do it a little earlier than I would. I would still do it early, but you do it even earlier than I would. And I've had to just let that go and realize I love decorations when it comes to fall and Christmas. The months from September to December are just such a fun-filled time. Decorations, all of these special traditions we do for, fall time and then Christmas. So I've learned to embrace it, to realize I love this. This brings me joy, and this is my home. So we're allowed to do this.
And yes, we skip Thanksgiving. We go straight from Halloween into Christmas decorations, which is totally fine. Some people say, "Why do you guys start in September?" Well, instead of having 3 months of fantastic decorations, we have 4 months. A third of our year has It is awesome.
It is awesome.
And it brings joy. Although this year is great because with the new style decoration, the neighbor across down the street came running up that night because she thought my house was on fire.
This is true.
Because the orange glow was so bad. It's kind of like the episode of Seinfeld with Jerry and I think it's called the Kenny Rogers with the chicken. The orange glow was so vibrant. She actually thought the house was on fire. God bless her.
It does look a little ambiguous when you turn the corner. It is like, what is happening to that? Oh, it's decorations. I just want to retrace real quick back. Thanksgiving is actually my favorite holiday, period, ever. So there is irony in the fact that we put up Christmas decorations before Thanksgiving. But think of it this way. It takes a lot of work to put up these decorations. And don't you want to enjoy them longer?
Well, 100%. But it goes bigger than that. That's what I was trying to get to is our kids, they have a sense of, by doing this, it sounds odd, they have a sense of like warmth here. They enjoy, embrace the holidays. We're teaching them to have a healthy relationship with the holidays. I think
They love it.
with my parents growing up in kind of more of the big hangover from the Great Depression is the holidays. Like my mom's least favorite holiday was like Christmas Day. And so because of just no presents. And so now we're just trying to help reform America's relationship with traditions and holidays with our kids by doing this. It means a little too much, especially when you have your own, place where you store everything, your own storage unit for it.
Yeah,
But it's
we
like,
do not have our own storage unit. We store it in our home.
yeah, in the attic,
Yeah.
the whole
Okay,
attic.
the whole point of this is, are you a pre-decorator? Are you an on-time decorator? Or are you the procrastinate decorator? And do you find joy in it? Because I also feel like a lot of people get stressed out by it. Then don't decorate. You have to do what works for you. I love a good Christmas tree lit up in the evening with the fireplace on. There is nothing like that. It brings us so much joy. And I think we are just people who have realized we want to have more fun in our lives. We just want to embrace things and celebrate and just take the load off. Yeah.
Well, and just like you said, embracing and enjoying versus critiquing and relating through like the holiday decorations in negative ways, which I think that kind of goes along with our personality type, but also how we want to see our family to be. And I think as we get into the holiday season, something for all of us to think about is how do we approach our relationship with the holidays in a way that it makes our kids want to enjoy it, look forward to it. Are certain words or certain even opinions that we may have regarding it can really shape their opinions about it, and emotionally too. I mean, like just the emotional relationship with it. And I think we got to just bring back the old days. Let's just embrace it, have fun with it, enjoy it. Let's not get the Christmas tree on Christmas Eve.
Oh my gosh, movies when they do that.
Why do they do that? I don't get
But
it.
at the same time, if you want to get your Christmas tree on Christmas Eve, that's okay. I think we need to teach our kids. Not everybody decorates 2 months before the holidays, and that's okay too.
That's true.
So, like you were saying, for all of us to remember, everybody has different traditions and different things. Don't make people feel bad for decorating early, and also don't make people feel bad for not decorating.
Now back to the show.
Also, there was something that you were saying that was interesting. One morning, you ended up, actually, this has happened a couple times now, you had brought our other child to school on time because trying to teach your kids your actions don't just affect you in a lot of situations, they affect other people. If you're not ready to be in the car when we say 8 a.m., you're going to make your sister, your brother, whoever, your neighbor friends, whoever's carpooling that day, everybody late. So you have to start thinking too outside of yourself. And I think that's something else that we've been doing is it's happened twice. You left with one kid and I was left with the other until, got there late, still went to school, but didn't allow that behavior to affect somebody else in the family because that's unfair and unjust.
What I think too is when you allow anxiety to win, especially on a consistent basis, then the kid's personality type becomes anxious. And so when we're able to do things in spite of our anxiety, especially at a young age, then we're teaching him that our personality isn't anxious, that maybe currently, and this is like the words we use, currently I'm dealing with anxiety, not that I'm anxious. I'm currently dealing with worries and fear, not that I am a fearful person. And so we want to let them know there's some things you have to weather, some things like, it's just a small season, like a 30-minute season of your life right now on a Monday morning or something like that. And we're trying to just teach these different habits to get perspective. And that's what we're trying to do. But perspective in a healthy way versus, I think, the heavy hand, fear-based parenting, authoritarian maybe approach will completely do the opposite. And that's what I've seen consistently, not just with our own child, but even with my clients. And by the way, by far across the board, I've seen it way worse with boys than girls. Most of the time, it's the boys that struggle with school avoidance than girls. Of course, there's some cases like that. But I think if you have a kid who's a boy, most likely to happen. Also, if there's a learning disability or ADHD, things like that, I tremendously see that as well, that we see it. And really, oddly enough, is I see a lot of my clients who are highly intelligent end up having a lot of school avoidance issues because they feel like school is a waste of time. What's the point? I know it's already, it's boring. Their mind's just beyond it. And so then sometimes you have to reevaluate at times, and we've reevaluated this, is what is the best school situation that appropriately challenges the kid, look at these variables like that, including, is there bullying occurring on? Like, is there things or reasons, a situation with the teacher that went on that we need to know about that maybe is just avoiding uncomfortable situations or feelings? All things for us to think about when it comes to having a kid at school avoiding issues. I urge people to, it takes that village. And so we contact the teacher, the school to say, hey, how can we rally around our kid and say this is what's going on, but we want to overcome this, defeat this. And it gets to even a point where it's too much. That's when you get therapists involved or counselors involved, whatever it may be. But don't be afraid. I think sometimes these situations we preserve it because we want to just uphold this
We get embarrassed.
medal of a parent that we are. We're so great. We want an A+ as a parent, and not realizing we've yet meet a teacher who's not for our kid and wants to help out with this situation. I mean, not, same with the school itself. And we've had even friends who come and try to pick him up. Like,
that's what's so beautiful is when you're with community who understand and you don't have to feel embarrassed or just ashamed. I mean, there's so many words you can put onto this about your kids' behavior. We have just met these incredible people that will meet us where we're at, or they just understand, or, Joe was trying something new and we knew like our kid could not go alone. Here's the other thing too, is you sit down with your child, especially when they're a little older, they might be able to also articulate this at a young age, but ask them, what can we do to help you in these situations? And our child was actually able to say, I don't want to try something new without somebody I know. And I totally empathize and sympathize with that. So that has been a big thing for us. So anything new then we're going to try our child in, we're going to make sure he knows at least one person. So it's so awesome. The first time you went to this meeting with our kiddo, you carpooled. So he was in the car with the friend already. So he couldn't almost have this panic attack in the car before getting out. Like, I can't do this. It was like this beautiful peer pressure of, okay, I can do it because so-and-so's in the car with me. And he got out and he did it. And guess what? He loved it and has so much fun. Even most of our school days, he comes home with all these great stories. And also remember to celebrate them.
Yes.
When they do something difficult,
Yes.
say, hey, you worked through this. And we've been talking a lot about courage. Somebody had that quote about courage isn't the absence of fear. It's facing it in the midst of it, or whatever it is. I'm trying to tell our kids, courage doesn't mean you're not afraid anymore. Courage means maybe all the fear went away. Most of the time, courage is, even though I'm afraid, I'm going to continue going forward. And just to remind our kids, sometimes you're still going to feel nervous and scared and uneasy, but that doesn't mean you can't do something. You just have to tell yourself, I can, and work through and past those feelings.
Well, and we had wrapped our mind around, which is we can't see this as this stressful situation that school's an issue. We now see a school as a beautiful opportunity revealing character aspects of our child that we can now work on. Like, things are being revealed through this situation that allows us, that we're thankful for, that now we know, okay, what characteristics can we work on with our kid? And so instead of seeing it as like, oh my gosh, this is an enemy, I'm so exhausted by this, which is tiring, exhausted, we're now trying to shift our own mindset about, okay, this is actually an opportunity. And thank God we're seeing this now and dealing with this now versus like dealing at age 19, 20, 21, 22, where he's really more in those years of just developing himself and trusting us. And we're able to have that influence over him right now to do that. And so I think, and I urge parents, is don't give up. Try to change your mindset around this and say this, thank God, this is good. Be thankful. Great opportunity. You're not alone. A lot of us are going through this. Let me tell you, a lot. People just don't talk about it enough. Don't make this a thing that ruins your relationship with your child. Once you don't have the relationship with your child, you don't have the influence over them. So keep that going and figure out, be creative. Get professionals you need to involved. Get friends involved. Get creative. Figure out what is the right, the word cocktail to get our kid to getting there. Sounds weird, but it's true. And because I go back to it's like talking about the power of peer pressure in a good way, is we know certain situations with certain friends or people he call friends, he's way more suggestible to do what's right and to work past those emotions. And when we set that up, at the end, success. Sometimes it takes that one time and he's fine.
Also, you could have said recipe instead of cocktail.
I know. You know what I was thinking about with cocktail? It's kind of, I remember working in the psych ward where you had to figure out the right cocktail for a client when it comes to like medication, plus therapy, plus the family dynamics. We call it the cocktail. It just seems cooler than recipe.
Okay.
But you're right. I don't want anyone contacting CPS saying these two people are giving their kid an alcoholic cocktail to get to school. Is that what it sounds like?
I don't know, just a little bit.
The parent cocktail? We should create the parent cocktail. The kid the school avoidant cocktail.
They already did that, the mom squad or whatever that was.
Yeah, that's why we saw that the other day. That's actually funny.
Okay. Anyway, just know that you're not alone. And we are here for you if you have any questions or concerns. Again, this is a topic we are very familiar with. And if you have any other things that you would love us to talk about, please contact us at theresetgroup.com or find us on Instagram or TikTok.
Thank you for listening to the Reset Podcast. We're so glad that you joined us. If you enjoyed this episode, would you take a moment to leave us a review and maybe even hit that subscribe or follow button? Also, pay it forward by sharing this podcast with a friend. For free resources and to learn more about coaching for individuals, athletes, couples, and teams, go to theresetgroup.com. And we would love to connect with you on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok at The Reset Group. See you soon.